Avery Taylor is 21 years old. She grew up in Barrhaven, a suburb of Ottawa, with 2 parents, 2 siblings, and her pets. She attended her local high school and experienced a lot of bullying. Things took a turn for the worst in the summer of grade 6 when an older girl introduced her to drugs and alcohol. Avery then ended up in the child welfare system, where she started becoming homeless on and off until the age of 17. Avery sought out traditional therapy, but it did not work for her. Instead, nature-based healing and spirituality were the most helpful ways she found to cope. During the pandemic, Avery has been doing community work to help, such as establishing a community food bank and delivery services for people who could not access food. Avery's past experiences have inspired her to want to work in the mental health field. Specifically, she wants to help victims of domestic violence. Today, Avery is working on a horse farm with her pony Mr. Tubbs, who has been a big part of helping her mental health during the last year of the pandemic. Avery likes to collaborate with Tubbs in a way that they both have to work as hard as one another, not just using Tubbs for fun, but seeing him as a partner.
How did you get started using opioids?
So I was already using drugs from the age of 13 and on, and when I was 16 I met a guy and I started seeing him, and he was already doing them and I was already doing other drugs, and it just ended up kind of being there, and it slowly just went from there. It starts and then one day you just wake up and you can't live without it. So yeah, it was as simple as that.
Which opioids did you use?
So I started out using Dilaudid, which is something that they would prescribe after a surgery or something, and it escalated from there to I used fentanyl for a couple years, and it went back to Dilaudid, and then I went on to methadone to try and get off of it for quite a bit. But yeah, so.
Okay. How did they make you feel?
Like you're just a walking zombie. You're constantly, you wake up and you're thinking about how do I get money to not feel sick today, basically. And it's not a good feeling. You might feel good at first, but it very, very quickly just becomes a deep rabbit hole of just every day is fixated on that.
What impact did they have on your life?
So they impacted a lot. They got me into the guy who I started doing them with. That ended up being a 6-year severely abusive relationship. Because of me doing opiates, I wasn't in contact with my family for a year and a half. I lived on the streets on and off for months. I was sleeping on people's floors. I was 80 pounds. I was it ruined my life. It completely flipped my life upside down. But even at the time, I totally saw nothing wrong with it. I was just a deer in the headlights. I was this is fine. This is But yeah, no, it took a really deep impact on my life.
So did you ever try stopping?
Yeah, multiple times I tried to stop, and it would I would mentally be wanting to do it, but it was the physical side of it, all the getting sick, that was a really big part of why I had a lot of trouble stopping.
What made you want to stop using opioids?
So I'm about 4 months clean now off my methadone, which I was on for a few years, which is a prescribed medication to help people get off of it. But what really did it is things with my ex were getting very bad, and I was getting to a point where I had so many head injuries, and on top of the opiates, I was just constantly in this fog, and I got really tired of just feeling like a zombie every day. I was just I want to be happy again. I want to go out and do things, and yeah.
And did you stop all at once, or was it progressive?
So I went against my doctor's advice. I was on 40 milligrams of methadone, which is it's a pretty high dosage for opiates for prescription, and I talked to them about wanting to stop. They told me that they wanted me to go down over 6 months, so I left that day. I went through about a month of hell of withdrawals in my apartment. I didn't tell anybody that I was off my medication. I just told them I had the flu, and I suffered through it. So yeah, I went cold turkey. So today I am about, I think, 5 or 6 days away from being 4 months off my methadone. This is my work right now. I've been like working at the farm for a little bit, and like aside from that, I just I sell jewelry online out of like healing crystals and stuff, and so like pretty good, much better than before.
Okay, and what is something that you wish kids knew about opioids before they got started?
It goes from having fun nights with your friends and thinking, you know, like, oh, we're just getting messed up, like, haha, to you're gonna wake up and you're going to be throwing up because you can't move or function without it, and it becomes like it ruins your life. And I really think it needs to be seen from not just like the party aspect of it. I think people need to really know like the dark fucking like scary, just like the scary truth of it. It's not like what some people try to make it out to be fun and stuff. Like it's really not. And I think that's something that, like a lot of kids should know. Even like if you just started and you feel like, because there were points where I started doing drugs, like I would tell myself, oh well, like I'm not that bad, like I don't need to ask for help. Well, like you know what, like don't be scared if you are just starting to do that and you feel yourself slipping into a really dark place. Like don't be scared to ask for help just because you don't think like you're suffering enough or you're bad enough or you're not doing as bad as someone else. Like never be scared to ask for help, and that would be my like one thing.
Where should they go for help if they need help?
So my biggest help, in at least because, so there's methadone clinics, which the goal is to get people in there, get them on a prescribed opiate so that they're not at risk for fentanyl use, they're not at risk for an overdose. They go there every day to pick it up. You, like, as the longer you're clean, like the more you get to like take away with you. And I think that is, it's very heavily stigmatized. It's seen as like, oh well, people go there to get free drugs. No, people go there so that they don't go get drugs on the street and die from fentanyl or something. And I think that's a really big thing that needs to be advertised more about, because had I like maybe known about that, it took me like 4 years into my opiate addiction to actually find out what that was, and it was like a life-changing moment for me once I got on that. Like it changed a lot. So I really think that that's something, because it doesn't just follow with like the medication aspect. There's like a psychiatrist and there's nurses, and so I think that's a really big thing that, like, because not a lot of people are like ready to necessarily just jump into rehab, but like doing that is better than like, you know, it's harm reduction. Like going and getting something from a pharmacy, if it means keeping somebody from overdosing on the street with fentanyl, like I personally think that's a lot better. So I think that's something that needs to be like a lot more heavily talked about, is like methadone clinics and Suboxone clinics and stuff like that. Because they have naloxone kits there, they do naloxone training, they do everything there. Like so it's really awesome. Like I have friends who've struggled with opiate addictions and go there to get their naloxone training and like get a kit just so that like if one of their friends ever needs it, like they have it. So yeah, I think that's like probably one of the best places to go for help.
Which place would this be?
So there's a few in Ottawa. I personally went to one called OATC.
Okay.
I think it's Ontario Addictions Treatment Counseling. It's just like a clinic. You go in with your health card and like you leave the first day with like a dose and anything else you need, and it's really awesome. So yeah, and they also, I know, at the clinic I went to, at least they help like heavy IV users who've gotten like Hep C and stuff. Like they have a trial for a treatment there right now. So people, like, I think they have like a bunch of, you know, like there's so many people who probably like have something like that and they're like, oh well, I don't want to get clean because I'm just disgusting and I have this. And I think it's really cool that like they have that there too, so that like if somebody decides that they're at rock bottom and like, you know, they have all this wrong with them, at least like I just think it's like a super awesome thing. Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to get training, they offer the training at that clinic as well?
Yep, they will teach you how to use it, everything. Also, most Shoppers Drug Marts, you can go in, all you need is your health card, you can get a naloxone kit, and the pharmacist there will show you how to use it. And like explain it to you, and like any questions you have, everything, yeah.
That's good to know. Is there any other questions you guys have?
I don't have any questions.
And my one thing is, if you guys want to just like even the smallest difference, always having a naloxone kit. There's been times I was literally like going out with my friends and I was driving or busing or walking downtown, and me having a kit was like a lifesaver for someone. So if you can, like always carry a kit, even if you don't do drugs. Like you never know, you could be walking down the road and somebody could just like you could save somebody's life. So yeah.
Is it easy to use?
It's very easy to use, and like for people who are nervous about injecting a needle into someone, they have nose ones. Like there's like multiple different ways to go about it, but even in the needle one, like it's so simple. You crack a thing off, you fill a syringe with it, and you just jab it. It's intramuscular, so it's not like you have to worry about, it's like an EpiPen basically, like you just jab it and stick it. Yeah. So it seems like a lot scarier, like seeing and like talking about it, but once you actually get like taught how to use it, it's fairly like easy. Like I was very, very anxious like the first time I was like ever using one, but it's a very good thing to learn how to use. So
What about Suboxone? What are your thoughts on that?
personally, from my experience and many of my friends, I found Suboxone, I've heard, has had a lot more like negative psychological side effects, but the physical side effects aren't as bad, whereas like methadone, it takes a toll on your body more, I find, than it does. Like, I was just very tired all the time, I was very sluggish, like, you kind of have to like pick and choose which one is, you know, a little less crappy, but...
Young.
Young enough.
I know, I started, like, not opiates, but, like, I started using drugs at a very young age, like 13, like, so I think it's very important, like, that, for me, like, I would say even grade 6, because that's the summer where, like, people are going from being in, like, an elementary school to a high school, and that's what really, like, kind of, because I already acted a lot older than I was, like, I was very mature, so, like, being thrown into, and I was a school where it went from, like, 7 to 12.
Yeah.
So, like, I think, like, that's a really important, like, if you guys could ever get in with, like, grade 6s, I would highly, like, because, like, that's, you know, they're gonna, especially, like, towards, like, the end of the summer, because then that's gonna, I don't know, like, that's the summer for me, personally, like, that's the summer where shit just went, like, whoosh in my life, so.
Okay.
That's,